So, welcome to the channel. First off, hi Horology. Just quick background, this channel, I'm going to dedicate this one to watches. I had a previous channel where I've been posting shorts for watches and things for a while, but I've never formally decided to create a watch channel, which this is. And today on Higher Horology, I'm going to share with you a piece of Rolex's history. This started for me as a purchase at a pawn shop. What I do is I go do rounds at pawn shops, and I have my go-to pawn shops here in Georgia. And this pawn shop got back this watch out of service. And if you can see, this is a original Rolex 6611 reference number. What's special about this watch is it's actually the first Rolex Day-Date that Rolex created. And if you're looking at it, you can see it's got the different style of hands, almost like the needle hands before Rolex switched over. It has this almost coin-like Cyclops, and it's not the traditional Rolex in the sense of the new watches being 18 karat gold. This is actually a 14 karat gold model. On the original, if you can see, gator strap here. I'm being careful with it. You don't really need to be too careful. Rolex, even back then, was making very sturdy watches, and you can see this is a, for being a 1957 to 1959 Rolex, this is incredible. And you can see why people love Rolex so much nowadays. You see the crown there. This is a 36 millimeter 1957, 1959 Rolex. Your granddaddy's Rolex. And I saw it in the store. So the story is, I went to the pawn shop. You can kind of see how it fits there. Beautiful piece. Beautiful. The movement, the sweep is smooth. The crystal is crystal or acrylic, not your typical sapphire. And you can, again, you can see the adoption of that magnifying glass when they first started using it around this time. And here we have, I may have to take different photos and share, but if you can look closely, the buckle has a 14 karat gold marker. So this is the original bracelet, original marker, original buckle. And I mean, it's in incredible incredible condition for such a vintage piece. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind wearing this today, but I know something like this deserves a proper collector. So that just takes me to my story, how I came to get this watch at the pawn shop. I actually bought a Tudor S&G first. And I bought the Tudor S&G, which is the silver and gold Black Bay 41. Took it home. It was also on a leather strap. For that watch, I paid $3,100 out the door for the Tudor. And I got the Tudor on a leather strap, and I went to inspect it, and one of the holders for the leather strap kind of came loose. It just didn't sit right with me. I'm not saying I'm a perfectionist, but for the amount of money on the secondhand market, I like to hunt deals. It's the whole point of how I got into watches. I approach watches how I approach cars on my other channel. It's not a good car, or it could be a great car, but if I didn't get a good deal, I feel like I can't bond with the car. So I got the S&G. I noticed that within a day I took it back. They were nice. They took a 5% restock fee on the 3100. And then I saw the watch again. I had bought a Cartier tank with this, with the Tudor the previous day, as well as I bought an Omega vintage Constellation woman's diamond watch, which I can share with the channel maybe in another video. but I returned the tutor. I got $29.48 back, and then I decided, let me look at the Rolex. And as I pulled it up, don't ever use ChatGPT. It doesn't know everything what it's talking about. But as someone aspiring to be an enthusiast that gets to wear watches and then list them for sale and rotate them, and that way I can experience more watches. What it did know is that it was a 6611 based on the salesperson knowing that, and that this watch was significant. And it knew enough to tell me that the price that I paid, which was $6,600 at the time, was low enough that the risk of the watch wouldn't be too great, and that I could get the watch and probably get out what I thought at the time was maybe a couple $100. If I need to sell it, I get out of it for $7,200. Maybe I can squeeze it out of there. I'm thinking consumer purchasing my watch. You know, at the time I didn't know as much about selling to other dealers or buying at stock price. Well, what would have been a couple hundred, maybe $1,000 in liquidity turned into this watch being incredibly significant and historic beyond what I imagined, to the point where I'm not going to pretend to be a Rolex aficionado at this time, but to the point where even the embassy markers, the hands in particular, this buckle, the crown originality, it had a receipt, even the dial being what they call the silver sunburst dial. It had a receipt that they said it had just came out of service, and I knew that, okay, at least I have a history of some sort of service. You're not going to have boxing papers all the time with a really old vintage watch. I know that. And that really pushed me to acquire the watch and enjoy it. But then as I got the watch, every day that I look at this watch, or as I'm researching this watch, I learned that I don't know diddly about the significance of this day date. And I think the pawn shop as well greatly undersold the importance and the value on a collector's level. To not deal with that, because this is such an incredible piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to enjoy it a little longer, and then you may be able to find this on Watch Your Risk at a store near you. And what I'm going to say last is I got a lot more pieces. I'm going to do a Breitling next, 1989 to 95 chronomat. Subscribe to the channel. We're going with Higher Horology. And then there is already a Instagram page called Higher Horology, where you can see my listings as I'm buying these watches. They get listed on Instagram immediately. Even if I'm not really selling them, I'll share them with you guys. And if you like something or see something you want, or maybe you want this piece, reach out on there and we can talk. So what do you guys think? Did you know about the Rolex already? Are you a Rolex fan? You know, are you still an 18 karat gold guy, or do you think this leather strap, this crocodile strap is incredibly cool like I do? Well, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.